Hi, thank you all very much for joining me today. I'm really thrilled to be doing this program on the piece Questioning the Mountains by composer Gao Ping with pianist Ieva Jokubaviciute. And first we will hear the piece. We recorded it at the Charlotte Steinway Gallery a few days ago. And then I'll have the privilege of talking to the composer. That should be very interesting. At the end, we will hear the piece again. Hope you enjoy it. And now I have the great privilege of speaking with the composer of Questioning the Mountains. This is Gao Ping, who joined me from Beijing. Is that correct?
Yes, Itamar. It's a great pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, of course. It's really my pleasure. And I wanted to first just ask you about how this work came to be, Questioning the Mountains.
Yes, Questioning the Mountain for violin and piano was written 2008, and that was the year when the huge, devastating Sichuan earthquake happened. And this piece was written quite soon after that. I think the earthquake was in May 12th, if I remember correctly. And in later, 2 months later, I had a concert with a Japanese violinist, Rieko. And we played it in Tokyo in a fundraising concert to help the people in Sichuan. Yeah. So that's written for that purpose, really. And of course, it's a very emotionally charged piece for me because I'm from Sichuan myself, from Chengdu.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the piece, if I understand correctly, quotes at least a fragment from a song from the region?
From a Sichuan folk song.
Mm-hmm. What is it about? Just curious.
Well, actually, the folk song is actually a humorous song. Almost every Sichuan person would have heard at some point of their lives. It's about a girl. It's a mountain song. The scene happens in the mountain. You know, Sichuan is surrounded by huge mountains. It's very mountainous region of China, and the girl is waiting for her lover to come. But it's the words take the form of a dialogue between her and her mother. So she's looking, and then her mother says, "What are you looking at?" And she says, "Oh, I'm looking at that tree. When would that blossom? You know, this particular flower." It's a kind of a cute song, but like in many these Sichuan mountain songs, it has a rather kind of a big leaps and and quite high. When you hear the melody, you don't think it has. Actually, you don't relate to that humorous kind of cute words. So the melody has transformed into a elegy feel in this piece.
Yeah.
So I turned into something very different from the original. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful how it's present basically throughout the piece. It's always there. So
it's a minor third.
That's right. Is the original melody? It goes all the way to the. So this is also a part, the seventh going up.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. So it kind of the piece immersed into this thing, which kind of is everywhere. You know, it permeates the whole texture.
Mm-hmm. And I was wondering about the writing. I guess first for the violin, it's very specific. All those glisses, you know, are these where is this the way people sing or people play? Where does that come from?
It's hard to say, but it must come from some kind of memory of music. But I cannot put my finger on it. If you ask such a direct and precise question, I cannot answer. But in a lot of Chinese music, such slides, expressive slides, happen. You know, it's a common thing in Chinese music, like in the music of Qing. You know, the guqin, a kind of a seventh string table harp. The left hand has all these slides all over the place. It's part of the musical language and expression, but also in people singing, you know. But I don't know where it's really, you know, where I took it from. I'm not sure, but it's a general. It's maybe in a memory, you know, that I draw from when I compose.
Yeah, I find it really fascinating, and also the towards the end, the piano has this sort of, the violin keeps playing the song, and then the piano plays what seems to be like somewhat improvisatory. Is that
exactly? Exactly.
Yes.
Very much so. Very much so.
Okay.
It's like a melisma, if you like, a very flourish kind of variation on the theme. You know, it's still got this theme, the outline of the theme. If you look at the structure of the melody, but it's filled up with a very quick notes, embellishments. And I imagine that's a kind of well, first of all, let the piano play in its high register, you know, let it soar in the high register, and to give it a chance, you know, because it's very much centers on the violin. And that's maybe part of the reason I did it that way, so the pianist doesn't complain. But also it's the whole piece is a kind of a variation on the same melody, as you know. It's very one directional, very simple, simple with one idea. You know, it just goes further and further with it, and extends it and then varies it. Basically, it's kind of variations on the same on the tune.
Do you think it's useful to listen, say, to music from the region to get a sense of? Sorry?
To get the feel of the.
To get the feel of this, and if yes, is there anything you would recommend specifically for?
I would say probably yes. I've never thought this question, but I would say, for example, you must have heard when you play pieces like the Schuhoff that you play so well on one of your videos, which has this kind of Eastern European. I can't specifically tell what, you know, exactly, maybe Romania or. But we know that region, maybe Balkan, you know.
That's states. Right. Yeah, there's something there.
We all have heard that music, so we can relate to it in a way, stylistically and in spirit. I guess, well, listening to some Chinese music from the region of Sichuan might help. I don't know, but it's again, it's different, you know. But maybe, for example, I mentioned the guqin, this very ancient Chinese instrument, which really represents the much of the Taoist and Confucius thinking, you know, and also very much expresses the feeling towards nature, the relationship between man and nature. This instrument, I think, because I was very much attracted to the music of Qin, it's likely that my compositions have been influenced by it, maybe unconsciously. So it might you might find it interesting to listen to it.
Okay,
I'm sure performances on YouTube. And in fact, just a few days ago, I returned to Beijing from a tour. I did a concert tour with a guqin master, a young guqin master, Wu Na. We played some concerts together. Of course, we play solos and then we improvise together. So improvisation certainly also is part of my activities
Mm-hmm.
Like what you mentioned about the end of the piece,
ending. That's right.
It's very much like an improvised piece.
How do you? So I noticed there are some other pieces that you wrote. Is this piece for? I forgot what it's like. Four not alike.
Oh yes,
Yes.
It's a very awkward name, but yes. You heard it. You saw that. Okay.
That's right. And that one. So how do you go about combining like a piano or Western classical instrument with these sort of Chinese instruments?
Yes, it's a yes. It's a question that I ask myself all the time. When I do a piece like that, how do I do it? Because there are people who are absolutely against it. And I do share that sympathy too, because there's two different worlds. It's very difficult to bring them together in a very convincing way or beautiful way. I don't know if I succeeded, but I try to do some things so that they come. I try to build a kind of area where they could meet and converse, and the tension between them is certainly also part of it. Piano especially, because the piano is a real product of the industrial age, I would say. It's a machine, and it's made to be very precise with its the way it produces a note, a sound. Also the intonation, a good piano is an instrument that needs to be absolutely in tune. Of course, we don't always get that. But it's supposed to be. A perfect piano is in tune and totally even from the top to the bottom, and it's a machine, and that is so different from all the Chinese instruments, which are really date way before the industrial time, pre-industrial. So it has very different ways to make music, very different sound worlds, and not to mention that they represent different cultures, so there are a lot of interesting differences, but I also can see that there is a place where they can come together if they play a certain kind of sounds in a certain kind of way. I don't know. It's still a new thing for me. It's a new thing for composers, Chinese composers, and also I already know that there are pieces like that written by composers of not Chinese origins also. Okay. So this is an area that people are exploring.
what are like some upcoming projects that?
Oh, upcoming projects. Well, you mentioned combining Western instruments and piano, yeah, which you heard this 四不像, this 4 notes alike. But recently I've been writing some pieces for duo. For example, I wrote a piece a couple years ago for erhu. Erhu is this kind of a double-stringed bowed instrument. Some say the violin of China. You know, it comes from northern Nomads. You know, it's not a Han people's instrument, but it's now a very common Chinese instrument, important Chinese instrument. I made a piece for erhu and piano, and then recently I wrote another piece for pipa and piano. Pipa is this kind of lute, this pear-shaped lute. The next piece would be the Chinese flutes with piano. So I'm making a kind of series of this. I'm going into this dangerous zone and kind of trying to make sense out of it.